What's up everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel, and in today's video we're going to be talking about a $40,000 wholesale deal I did in Youngtown, Arizona. That being said, make sure you subscribe to the channel. A good percentage of my viewers are watching the videos but they're not subscribing. I'll pop the analytics up right now. So if that's one of you, please go down below, hit the red button and subscribe. But other than that, let's get right into the video. Alright, so today we're going to be talking about that $40,000 wholesale deal I did in Youngtown, Arizona recently. If you're not familiar with Youngtown, Arizona, it's kind of a more elderly neighborhood, elderly city, right? It's right by Sun City, Arizona, which is a lot of 55 plus residents communities. So a lot of people go to Youngtown and Sun City to retire. And so Youngtown's out there with Sun City. So it's one of those like retirement communities. And that's where we did this deal. All right, so first let's talk about what marketing strategy did I use to acquire this deal, right? Marketing, your marketing channels are the bloodline of your business, and sales is what supports your revenue, supports your monetary goals, right? But the bloodline of your business is marketing, right? So what marketing channel did I do for this? I did cold calling marketing. I love cold calling marketing. If you want to use the same cold callers I use, go to thecallgenius.com. Also, if you want some of the cold calling training that I have available, check out jacobblank.com/shop. But I used cold callers in order to acquire this deal through that marketing channel. So what I did was I uploaded a list of homeowners that lived in Youngtown, Arizona to my dialer, and then my cold callers started calling it. If you want to use the same dialer I use, there's a link in the description. Also, if you want to use the same source that I use in order to get data, there's a link in the description for that as well. So now that that list was uploaded to the dialer, the cold callers started calling it and started passing us motivated seller leads. Now, once the callers started passing us motivated seller leads, my sales reps, my acquisition managers in my office started following up with these leads. They started talking to them, talking to these homeowners in Youngtown and asking them more about the condition about their property and more about the exact reason why they wanted to sell. And then also pulling out their asking price. So you need to pull out those three things, right? And this is why. You need to pull out the condition of the property because you can use that the condition is bad in order to sell them and negotiate, right? The property needs this done to it, this done to it, this done to it. That's why we're at this price. So make sure you pull out the condition of the property. Then you need to pull out their motivation. Why are they motivated to sell? What's the reason they really want to sell the property? That is so important as well because you can use that to sell them, right? Do they want to sell the property because somebody passed away? Do they want to sell the property because they need the money? Do they want to sell the property because it's in bad condition? Do they just want to sell the property just because they want to sell the property, right? You want to find out why they want to sell because you can use that to sell them on your deal. The next thing you need, that's almost most important, is their price. What is their asking price? You always got to remember that in a negotiation, the first person to say a number loses. So you're always going to want to pull out their asking price first before you give them an offer. Now, you know, the numbers do matter a lot, right? If the numbers don't make sense for you or them, it's not going to be a deal. And sometimes it does always come down to the numbers, but you can do your best to make your service worth more than the dollar amount, right? If you sell them so good and make them so confident in you and your company and your service, then you will be raising the bar on your service value compared to the dollar amount. And that's how you get a sale at whatever price because of how good of a service you are bringing to the table. So make sure you are always pushing your service to be the highest possible. So that way it matters more than the dollar amount. And then sometimes numbers won't matter. What will matter is that you're the right company, you're the right person to purchase their property. So like I said, numbers are always most of the time the bottom line, what really matters and what is really going to get a deal done. But you can always push to make your service be worth more than the dollar amount. So we pulled out all that information. We found out that the property was in bad shape. There was a shitty tenant in it that was no longer in the property and it needed a lot of work done to the property. The tenant messed up the property. So we knew the condition was bad and we knew that we could use that to negotiate. And we knew the reason he was motivated to sell, which we pulled out from him, was that he had a business opportunity that he wanted to take this money from this property and invest in. He was going to be able to get his hands on like a backhoe and some tractors and be able to flip them. So he was getting like some equipment some farming equipment at a cheap price, and he was going to be able to flip it and double his money. So he needed money from this house in order to purchase that equipment, and that's the reason he was motivated to sell the property. If he didn't have that business opportunity, he would have just held onto the property. So we knew we could use that motivation right there to sell him, right? If we're not able to get a deal done, he's not going to be able to do his business deal, so we need to get this done. So we could use that to sell him. We could use sales skills on the fact that he needed to get this business deal done. The next thing we pulled out was his asking price, right? He wanted $235,000 for the property. He said, it's either $235,000 or we don't have a deal. He said, I'm only going to do a deal with you if you can do $235,000. A penny less, I'm not doing it. And like always, we tried to negotiate. We tried to bring him down to $200,000, and he instantly hung up the phone. A lot of times you'll run into sellers where they aren't willing to go back and forth in a negotiation. And it really sucks when they're not willing to go back and forth in a negotiation, because then we're not able to work out a deal. It's like they don't realize that we are still willing to come up in price, so let's just talk back and forth. But sometimes you are going to have these sellers that just hang up the phone. Fortunately, though, a few days later, we were able to get him back on the phone, and we were able to build a phenomenal relationship with him, build a bond with him as friends, so that way he wouldn't hang up the phone on us. That way we could go back and forth a little bit on numbers. So we were able to build a friendship, build rapport with him, so that way he didn't feel like it was okay to just slam the phone on us, and that's what we did, and now he was willing to negotiate a little bit on numbers. So we went back and forth on numbers, we came up slowly, and we finally got him to agree to $230,000 for his property. So we only got him to drop $5,000, but still, we were able to negotiate and get it a little bit better price, so that way we were able to make more money. We sent over the contract to him, and he signed on the dotted line for $230,000. So now that we had the property under contract, we sent the contract over to title and opened up escrow. Now title was going to start doing the title search on the property and doing all the title and escrow work. The next thing we needed to do was we needed to market the property to cash buyers. And in order to do that, we need pictures of the property. And we like to save time and not drive out to properties, so that way we can stay on the phone calling more sellers. The more time we're at our desk in front of our computer making calls, the more deals, the more people, the more offers we are going to be able to make. And so it's very important that we try to get the seller to send us pictures rather than us going out to the property. So it took about a week and a half for the seller to finally send us pictures of the property. And now this made it a crunch time for us to be able to sell this deal. We didn't have much time at all to sell the deal. But once we got those pictures, we started sending the deal out at $280,000. This property was worth around $360, maybe $350, $360. So we knew at $280 somebody still had enough room to put some work into the property and be able to sell it and make a profit. But we also knew that asking $280 was a little bit much. You know, a lot of cash buyers don't really like to buy in Youngtown as much, so we knew we were probably asking a little bit high, but we started getting offers coming in. We were getting a bunch of offers around $250,000, but luckily we finally got an offer at $260,000. That was a little bit lower than what we wanted to take, so we started negotiating with the buyer. And I got on the phone with the buyer myself, and I was able to bring that buyer up to $270,000. Unfortunately, because this property was in such bad shape, this buyer was willing to buy the property sight unseen. That means he was going to base his purchase off the pictures rather than walking the property, which was amazing. So I sent out the assignment contract and I got the buyer to sign on the dotted line. I got the buyer to deposit $5,000 non-refundable earnest money to title. Remember, here's another tip. You always want to get at least $3,000 to $5,000 non-refundable earnest money deposited by your buyer to title. So now that we had the buyer sign an assignment contract and got him to deposit earnest money, now we had the deal all lined up. We just needed to wait till the close of escrow. Now, unfortunately, because we got the pictures so late and we lined up a buyer so late, we didn't have that much time for the buyer to close. And we actually had to extend the close of escrow about 3 days, and the seller was really unhappy about this, and it took a lot of persuading in order to get him to agree to extend the close of escrow 3 days. But fortunately, he let us extend 3 days and we got the deal closed, and we made a $40,000 assignment fee. And there we go, another amazing wholesale deal where we made $40,000 profit. Amazing. If you guys like the way that I teach you about wholesaling real estate and teach you about real estate, I highly recommend that you go check out reiscalers.com. That is my Learn How to Wholesale program, where I teach you, just like this, one-on-one, exactly how to get your very first wholesale deal, and then from there on scale to making over $100,000 a month. So if you want to check out my Learn How to Wholesale program, there's a link in the description for it, reiscalers.com. But other than that, I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to go down below, hit the like button, also hit the red button and subscribe to the channel. It helps me reach more people and impact more lives, so I'd really appreciate it if you go subscribe. But other than that, I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.